So why should you buy a cheap house if you're not really looking to be a homeowner? What if you're a renter and you're not planning on buying a house for 3 or 4 years? Maybe you want to save up some more money. Maybe a $200,000 house, as the ones you've seen on our website, don't really appeal to you. Maybe they're too old, too beat up, too small, too ugly, that you don't want to get one of those houses. Well, here's an example of where that might come in handy. If you're planning on purchasing a house and becoming a homeowner, let's say in 2 or 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years, the way that the market is appreciating, that house that you're going to buy in 5 years might be $100,000 more than it is today. So, and this is supported by articles we've seen in Wall Street Journal and on Market Watch. And again, it's a prediction, but it's supported by demographics. But let's say that you believe in that theory. So let's say you buy a house we put in $210,000. Our houses that we put on our website are all $200,000 or less. But we put a little more in case you've decided you found something that's a little higher than that. A 5% down payment is about $6,000. Interest rate 3.5%. Here's your payment. Your base mortgage payment is under $1,000. By the time you add taxes and insurance, it's probably going to be $1,300, $1,400, might even be $1,500. And it could be an ugly old house that you don't like, but it's a house. Number one, you're probably paying at least this much in rent right now, so you're probably going to save a little money on rent. In reality, you're not going to save any money because the extra $200 or $300 or even $500 that you save on rent, you're going to have to put into the house. You're going to have to buy curtains, and there's always something to buy for a house. You have to fix the gutters. You have to repair the sink. That's going to happen, but you have some leeway here. The other thing that'll happen is you'll have a tax write-off, meaning that this interest that you're paying is tax deductible. So if you're in a 20% tax bracket, that's about $200 a month, $2-3 grand a year that you can write off your taxes. The most important thing is this $200,000 house, if the market does appreciate, might be worth $250,000 in 4 years. Well, that extra $50,000 cash equity that you get when you sell that house, you can put as the down payment towards your new house. Let's say you're planning on buying a house that's $400,000, $500,000, maybe even $600,000 in 4 or 5 years. Well, if you're not participating in the appreciation between now and then, the $100,000 or $120,000 that house goes up, it's just going to come out of pocket. Whatever, you're not going to save that much money in the next 3 years. So this is a way to jump on the bandwagon, if you believe there is a bandwagon, and put that equity appreciation to work. And if you don't believe that's happening, look at a house that right now is $250,000, $240,000, and go back in time in that neighborhood on Zillow and find out what those houses sold for 2 years ago. I guarantee those houses were under 2. So if you had bought that house for $180,000 in 2019, now it's worth $225,000 or $240,000. That's your appreciation. That's all cash in your pocket. Look, it may not be as nice as the inside of your apartment. It may have old walls and old floors and old sinks, and your apartment is brand new or newer, but you get to put some cash away in the form of equity. Now, it defeats the purpose of the whole thing if you go out and buy a $300,000 house that you don't like, or a $400,000 house that you don't like, because you're not saving any money, right? Your mortgage payment is going to be the same as your rent, and then you're going to be putting money into repairs, and you're going to hate the process. Only do it if you're putting a lot of money away because your mortgage payment's less than your rent, and you're getting appreciation. You notice when we put in 30-year mortgage, we don't recommend doing a 15-year if you're going to use this theory, because a 15-year, look, it's going to make your payment go up. Well, it didn't actually auto-calculate here. It's going to go up, and it's only going to give you more interest you're paying. Make the payment as low as possible if you're going to be flipping this house in a few years anyways. Right? So it's a theory. It's a strategy you could use. Certainly you and whoever lives with you is not going to be as impressed with the condition and quality of a $200,000 house as a $2,000 apartment, $2,500 apartment. The apartment's going to seem nicer. It's going to have new carpet. It's going to have painted walls. It's going to have marble granite countertops. This house is going to be old, but it'll be a vehicle for you to have appreciation for the future. And it might have a yard. It might have a little more space. It might have a garage. So you can start to get used to how home ownership works out, what you have to fix, what you have to keep track of. Remember, all those things that your landlord is doing, you might think, well, it's worth paying the money, so he has to do that or she has to do that. Bottom line is, it's not that hard. It's a little work. You might have to spend a couple hours a week working on things, fixing the sink, changing out light bulbs, changing filters in the air conditioning system, heating system. But it'll get you into that process to where you might have $50,000 or $60,000 in equity to put away towards your next house in 2 or 3 years, when it's time to find the exact house in the right neighborhood in the right area that works for you and whoever is with you on that journey.